Okay, Parveen ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
A very good afternoon to all present here. I welcome all the participants for our 5th day faculty development program on research article writing and publishing. My great pleasure to welcome our today's guest of honor, Dr. Shelly Oberoi ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, NMIMS, Mumbai, Maharashtra, handling the session on research article writing. I now invite Mrs. K. Agilandeshwari ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, to welcome the gathering and to introduce our resource person.
Thank you, Subhadra ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to one and all present here for the 5 days FDP organized by Department of Computer Science and Commerce in collaboration with Atal Biharee Vajpayee Trust, Chattisgarh on research article writing and publishing. I am very grateful to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Shelly Oberoi, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, NMIMS, deemed to be University, Mumbai, Maharashtra, handling the session on research article writing. She has participated in various national and international seminars and presented various research papers. She also has research work in various national and international journals. She won gold medal, Professor Mumbai Shah Award in Indian Commerce Association Conference 2018 held at Hyderabad for best research work. She has delivered lectures on Jnana Darshan and Jnana Vani. She is lifetime membership of Indian Commerce Association and Institutional Innovative Council IIC. She has published many research papers on greening of finance in India, sustainability and human resource management, green banking and sustainable model, and strategy in RRB in India. She participated in various interactive radio counseling on introduction to income tax, role of technology, research for doctoral students. Now I request our honorable resource person to address the gathering and continue the technical session. Madam, the platform is yours. Thank you, ma'am.
scroll பண்ணும் கீழே ஸ்க்ரால் பண்ணோம் அது என்ட்ரி மேப் ஆச்சா இல்லையான்னு தெரிய மாட்டேங்குது எப்படி மேப் பண்ணுவீங்க ஒவ்வொன்றா என்ட்ரி போட்டு
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for a very wonderful introduction. And a very good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Shelly Oberoi. And at present, I'm teaching in NMIMS, that is in Mumbai. This university is in Mumbai. Earlier, I've taught in Delhi University. And thank you so much, Shri Jayendra Saraswathy Maha Vidyalaya College and ABHAV India Foundation for inviting me here to share my knowledge with everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation. And let's start with the presentation. I'm going to deliver a lecture on the research article writing and how we are going to, how we can write the research papers, and hope all of them are the research scholars only. Just kindly let me know in the chat box that are you people are the research scholars or the professors, so that I can go with the flow and accordingly I can just take the session. So can you all just give me a brief introduction, everyone? I think the chat box is enabled for the other people.
Chat box is not enabled, ma'am.
Okay. Just, ma'am, I request you to just enable the chat box so that I can interact with these because I like to take session in a very interactive way. I don't want one-way communication. Okay, good. Okay, one of the individual has stated that he's a PhD scholar in commerce. Okay, and what about others? Kindly reply in the chat box. And do let me know that you people have the basic understanding of the research. then only I can move forward. Just let me know. Request you to kindly reply quickly so that I can start the session. Okay, very good. I think all of you, most of you are the professors and the research scholars. Good. And what about others? If senior people are there in the session, I'm so obliged. What about others? Kindly reply in the chat box. Hope you people can hear me. I'm audible. Okay, great. Okay, guys. I just wanted to have an idea, so I've got the idea now. Thank you so much for the reply. So I'm going to share my presentation and let me just share it. Do reply me that you people can see the PPT.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, is visible, ma'am. Very clear, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the reply. So today's session is on the research article writing. I'm going to discuss that how we can write a research article, or I can say the research paper, because whenever we start with the research, before even enrolling in the MPhil or the PhD, some of you, even I started writing research papers and articles before I did my PhD. So at that time, at the initial stage, we all are very much confused that what actually the research is, how to write a research paper, where to get it published, and what is the structure which we have to follow, and what is the topic which we have to choose, how we have to write the title, how we have to write the abstract, what is the structure actually which we have to follow. So in this today's session, in the today's article, I'm going to discuss that all the steps which we need to follow while writing the research paper or the research article. So before we start, I think we should know actually what is a research, because nowadays I think especially after the COVID situation, after the lockdown, the research has totally changed. The definition of the research has totally changed. And if I talk about today's session also, even the platform to share your knowledge, even to do research, everything has been changed in a very drastic change has come. So first of all, we should know actually what actually the research is. So it is all about what we have to do, on which topic we have to study, on what topic we have to choose to do a research, and how we have to do, what all things we have to gather to do our research. Research is actually, from the name itself you can see, it means research. It means doing the search again. It means there are certain topics which you also can choose, and again you have to work on that particular topic, and you have to revise the research which is being done by the existing authors and the researchers. It means that you have to add something new to the existing knowledge. That actually is a research. That what new thing you can add in that particular concept or in that particular theory, and you have to find out what actually are the gaps. And then only I can say that after doing the rigorous review of literature, and after finding the gaps, that what previous authors and researchers have done, and what you can do by adding some newness to that particular concept or theory, that is called the research. Finding the gaps and then doing something new, that is research. How you can contribute to the existing knowledge in that particular field. So hope this is clear what actually the research is. Then I can also say that it is a systematic inquiry. When I'm saying it is a systematic inquiry, it basically means that there is a certain process which we have to follow. We have to see how systematically we can do the inquiry into the in the existing knowledge. What is the purpose, how the new knowledge and the practical solution in the form of the answers or of the research question which have been formulated beforehand. It means at the initial stage, you start forming the research questions. On the basis of the research questions, you form the research objectives, and then you decide then how those research questions can be answered, how the research objectives can be achieved. So I can say in this systematic inquiry, what you actually do, the researcher actually investigates the hypothesis. They suggest how the data can be collected, how the data can be interpreted, and then what is a future research which can be done to explore in that particular field. This is actually a research. This was very much required before starting this session, that one should know actually what the research is. And let me tell you, when I started my PhD, I was not aware of much of the research, that what actually we have to do and how actually we have to perform the research activities. So when some of the senior professors, I attended so many FDPs, and I also attended so many seminars and conferences. I presented so many papers in different conferences, and many of the senior professors and the researchers, they suggested me that research is not possible unless and until something new is being added to the existing field of knowledge. So unless and until I won't be calling a research that if you are making a questionnaire and if you are collecting the data and you are just putting that data in the already the very important, very few of the softwares are available these days, and you are just putting your data in those softwares and automatically the results are being generated. So that is not a research. Let me tell you, research is rigorous review of literature, finding the gaps, and then analyzing the data, interpreting the data, and trying to see that what research questions and what research objectives you people have formulated initially, are you able to relate those results or findings of that particular study with your research objectives and the research questions. So that is the research. Collecting the data and putting in the software and getting the result is not a research. This is important to know. So you have to put something new to the existing knowledge. So when I'm saying what all things are there in the research, what all things it is consist of. So asking the question that nobody has asked for, it means some newness should be there. Necessary work to be done to find the answer. It means what actually we have to do to answer the research objectives, which we have formulated initially. Then communicating the knowledge to the large audience. It actually means that then telling the audience, telling the other people that what you have done and how your findings in the conclusion of your study, research work will contribute to the society, will contribute to the other stakeholders who are associated with the research study or the research knowledge, and also communicating through the implications of the study. So this implication part I will be discussing in the coming slides. So these things are important whenever I'm talking about the research. So research is nothing but the adding some new to the knowledge, some newness should be there. Then whenever I'm, so let's start with the research article. So it's not that you people are only enrolled in the MPhil and PhD, like I said before, that you can write the paper. Even after completing your master's or before getting into the job also, you can just start with your research work. So some research scholars are really confused that how to start the research paper, what topic to I should choose to write a research paper, because at that time, at the initial stage, the student is very much confused that on what field and topic he should work for the research work. He should do the research work on in which field, whether he should go for marketing, whether he should go for HR or finance or some other social sciences topic or psychology. I'm not talking here of a particular field. So initially in every field, every research scholar or a student is confused. So what all things he should consider? So that first is the topic which you are more confident. It means, first of all, seeing what is the interest of the student, what is the interest of the research scholar, that whether he want to go into the marketing field, finance field, or the human resource, or the HR field, or some other scientific or the psychological field in which he or she is having the interest. So that is important. Then also seeing one more thing, that what is the latest topic in the market. So we have to see that the student or the research scholar is not choosing that particular topic on which a lot of research has already been done. So this is important to see. Choose that topic on which you, the research scholar or the student, really feel that some newness can be added. So this only can happen by reading a lot of research papers related to the topic which the student has chosen. So reading more and more of the papers which are from the very good journals, like the journals which are the papers which are published in Emerald, the Springer, and the Induscience, or I can say Elsevier. These are the few important, very good journals which publish the very qualitative studies. Qualitative research work is being accepted in such journals. So that is important. Then find your objective or goal, that already the student has chosen the research topic. Now the next step is finding the objective or the goals. How that can be done? It can be done only after the rigorous review of literature is being done on that particular topic. Suppose, for example, the student has chosen a topic related to emotional intelligence. Suppose, I'm just giving the example. This was my PhD topic. I did my PhD in emotional intelligence. Suppose the student has already chosen the topic, emotional intelligence. Now, how he or she will find what are the objectives and goals, what would be the research questions, what would be the research objectives. So in that case, what student has to do, what the scholar has to do is, scholar has to read a lot of research papers on this particular topic. Then especially those papers which are published in a very good journal. This is very much important. Then after doing the rigorous review of literature, then the scholar has to find out, and important thing is reading the latest papers, not very old, the latest last 5 years papers or the present year papers which are published in a very good journal. This is important. So try to read more and more research articles and the research papers, or which is related to the particular topic which the scholar has chosen. Then on the basis of the rigorous review of literature, the student has to find out the gaps. Gaps means these research gaps are the what the previous authors have done, what is the scope of that particular the scope of those studies which the other authors have not done related to that particular topic, which the research scholar can do related to that particular topic. So that is a research gaps. So whenever I'm saying the research, these research gaps is the most important and the relevant things which the scholars has to do. So rigorous review of literature and finding the gaps. This is the backbone of every research work. So mind it. Apart, because every scholar or the student, when I started my research, I used to also at that time I also had this thing in mind, that important thing is collecting the data and learning the software how to analyze the data. That is the secondary part, that is the next level step. So the main backbone of every study is the rigorous review of literature and finding the gaps. So this is the backbone of the entire research work. So unless and until this, both the things are done by the research scholar, the research work is not relevant. The research work is incomplete. Then on the basis of the research gaps, the scholar will formulate the research objectives. Then after forming the research objective, the scholar will, what they will do, they will formulate the research hypothesis. Then after formulating the research objectives and the research hypothesis, what the scholar will do, the scholar will formulate a research methodology. So research methodology actually is it consists of the research design, that what would be the sample size, which sector would be targeted, what tools and techniques will be used for analyzing the data, what would be the instrument which would be used to collecting the data. So all these things would be decided by the scholars in the research methodology. Then after that, the research scholar will collect the data from different reliable sources, could be from primary sources or the secondary resources, secondary sources. Primary sources are the that such kind of data which has not been collected before. That is collecting the data through questionnaire, through survey instrument, or and secondary data is collecting the sources from already published data which is already available. Then after collecting the data, what does research scholar will do? They will what they will do? They will analyze the data which on using the different softwares and the different tools and techniques which he or she has already decided in the research methodology, then drafting the research work. Then after that, after drafting the research article or the research work or any research work with the scholar is going through or doing that, they will draft the structure and then they will revise and get it published. So this is actually the research process which I just wanted to give an overview. Then these are the steps in the research process. So like I'd already told you, identifying the general study area, like first what the research scholar will do, he will decide the field in which the area or the field in which that particular research scholar want to do the research. Like I told you, he may choose the marketing or HR or finance, psychology or some science related topic. So that is up to the scholar. Then choosing the research topic. This is the most important thing, because whenever a general study area or the field has been chosen by the research scholar, he has to choose or narrow down the research to choose the appropriate research topic, which is the latest one and which is also in which the scholar is having the interest. Then formulating the plan and methodology, as I already told you. Then research methodology would be decided by the scholar, that the appropriate methodology and the research design he has to follow. Then collecting the data, like I told you, different sources are there. He will collect the data, he will decide the methodology, he will decide the research instrument, whether it should be through collecting the data through questionnaire, through interviews, through observation. Then analyzing and interpreting the data and presenting the findings. So this is the written content. So these are just these steps in a research process. I just wanted to give an overview and just wanted to tell you how basically the research process is being done. Then let's talk about the research article. So the main thing is deciding the purpose of the article or the research paper, that why you want to write this paper. Because the scholar has already done the rigorous review of literature. He has already something in mind that what he or she want to do. So this idea should be very clear in the mind of the research scholar, that why that particular article or research paper has to be published, why he should work on that particular topic which he has chosen. Then what are the main ideas? So this article purpose and the main idea are interrelated. He or she should have a clarity why that particular research is to be conducted. So what he will do, he will decide the title. He or she is having the idea. He will decide the topic, the topic which he has chosen. Then on the basis of that topic, he will divide the main sections of the research article. Then those main sections would be decided in would be divided or broken up in the different subheadings. I will tell you all those subheadings, how what actually the structure of a research article or the research paper is. Then after dividing the main sections into the subheadings, then what they have to do, they have to divide in different paragraphs, and those things are this is the general structure of a research article, which you can see on the screen. I think it is very much clear. You can just see that how the article is divided into three different parts. First part is the title, abstract, and the keywords. So I will be deciding each and every part of the structure in the coming slides. So the research article or the research paper has to be divided into three parts. First article generally consists of title, abstract, and the keywords. Then the second is the main body of the paper. So this is basically this main text or the body of the research paper or the research article consists of the introduction. It consists of the different methods. It also consists of review of literature. It consists of the research methodology or the research design. Then the next thing is the results and the discussions. Then the third part is basically consisting of the conclusion part, acknowledging the other people, those who have helped in the research work, then the references and the bibliography. Then the supplementary data, if any of the data has been used, you can put at the end as an appendix or the annexures. That can be the part of the third part of the structure of a research article or the research paper. So one has to follow the sequential structure while writing the research article or the research paper. So this is the structure which has to be followed by every scholar. Then if I'm talking about the main part or main body of the this, I will discuss it later. So I think I should start with this, then later on I will be discussing this. Then selection of the topic for research article. So as I told you, this is the most crucial decision to be taken by the research scholar. So this is a brainstorming activity with the research scholar has to go through. So why he should have the clarity that why there is a need to do research on this particular topic, and what do that researcher want to do actually related to that research topic, why he want to do, what he want to do, why he should do, and how he or she has to do. So these questions should be very clear while deciding the topic for a research article. Then this basically in 2 steps: select broad topic of interest and then narrowing it down to an effective research. Like I told you that suppose broad topic, what is the area of interest of the research scholar, and he or she has to see, the scholar has to see that area of interest with the he or she has chosen, is it something latest can be added to that particular area. And then after reading so many articles related to marketing, HR, finance, or the area of the field which the scholar is attracted to, then he has to narrow it down to an effective research. Suppose, for example, the research scholar has chosen a topic related to, the area of interest which he has taken is the marketing. So then he has to decide whether he should choose the topic related to product life cycle, or the new product development, or the advertising, or the some other topic which is related to marketing. Or the other example is, for example, the scholar has chosen a topic which is related to human resource management. Then he has to decide whether he has to go for he has to write the research paper related to recruitment, or job satisfaction, or employee engagement, or the selection process, or the job or the performance appraisal, or the job performance. So the scholar has to narrow down the topic so that an effective research is possible related to that particular area of field. So this is important. This is very much important initial step in any of the research work. Then some of the questions which the researcher has to ask, that which group have an interest in this topic. So he has to see that if he is choosing this particular topic, what would be the target audience. We want to do research related to teenagers, or he or she want to do research related to the females or males, or the employees of a particular sector of the related to particular sector, working in a particular sector. Then who specifically will you focus on, whether your focus is on IT sector, or your focus is on the some FMCG sector, or on the media industry. So that has to be, the clarity should be there in the mind of the scholar. Then what are the important issues at the stakes? Then he has, after deciding the topic, after deciding the sector or the industry which the scholar has to target, he has to decide, he has to see what are the important issues related to that particular topic and the particular industry. Then after deciding all these things, he has to see that what are the different factors which are involved, and where is the topic relevant. He has to decide whether this particular topic which I have chosen related to that particular industry is relevant or not in the present scenario, and will it focus on one country, or some sort of a comparison would be done between the different nations and the countries. Then he has to decide why the research scholar want to write about it? So what is the purpose? What he or she want to prove while after writing this research or after doing this particular research work? Then there are certain other questions like who, what, where, when, and why. All these questions the scholar should have a clarity in his or her mind. Then I told you the research objectives he has to decide. So what is a research objective basically? Research objective is basically a very clear or the declarative statements where the scholar actually make a declaration that he or she will investigate the various variables which are related to this particular study. So the research objectives is basically those I can say the if I talk about the objective that is related to hypothesis only, and when I'm saying okay, thank you so much. Some noise was coming from the other.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible, ma'am.
Some noise.
Voice is breaking, ma'am.
Let me check. Am I audible now?
Audible, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So when I'm saying research objectives, they are basically related to the hypothesis only. Hypotheses are related to the research objectives, and hypotheses are the assumptions which the scholar make on the basis of the research objectives, and which can be null hypothesis or the other hypothesis, whether there is a relationship between variables or not. If the relationship exists between the variables, that is the alternate hypothesis. And when there is no relationship between the variable which the research scholar has chosen out of the rigorous review of literature, it means he or she is going for the null hypothesis. So it's up to the research scholar whether he is taking the null hypothesis or the alternate hypothesis. But the basic criteria for deciding whether the null hypothesis to be taken or the alternate hypothesis depends on the review of literature. If the maximum of the past studies says that there is no relationship between the variables, then null hypothesis has to be taken. If maximum of the past study says that there is a relationship between the different variables, then the alternate hypothesis should be taken. So this is all about the research objectives. This I've already discussed: who, where, when, how, and what, why. These are the questions, and the scholar should have the answers for all these questions which are related to the research work which he or she is going to do. So the clarity should be already there beforehand doing any research in the mind of the research scholar. Then, as I told you, this is I will be talking about the research article and the research paper. So I told you first and the foremost steps for writing the research article is the choosing a title. So the main when I'm saying the topic has already been chosen by the research scholar. He was having the clarity that he will be working on this area or the particular field. He has chosen a broad area. Now he has narrowed down the to choose a topic for effective research. Now on that particular topic, the first step is to write a title. So the main important just a second. Okay. So whenever the main what should be the impact in the mind of the audience? So while writing a title, the title should be very clear. It should be very interesting, and it should attract the audience. Audience means the reader's attention. So try to use such title which are declarative in nature. And the title should not be around 10 to 50, should be around 10 to 15 words. But nowadays, some of the good journals, they are giving the guidelines that what should be the length of a title for a research paper or the article, how many words should be used for that particular research paper or the article for writing the title. So generally around 10 to 15 words are being used, and generally the title should have those words in the those words should be there in the title which you will be using in the keywords. So because whenever the keywords will be put will be used by the some other researcher for finding the research papers, so your paper will be highlighted when the such keywords are being entered by some other research scholar to read the research papers. So what we have to do, what is the other rule which we have to follow? Some unnecessary words and the technical jargons should be avoided. You have to make sure that the title is conforming with the journal guidelines. And as I told you, some journals are giving the guidelines, so it should match with the rules and regulations and the guidelines which the journal has given. So the title should conform the guidelines given by the journal. Then, and also the title should be formatted properly. It means as far as I'm concerned, how I write my title of a research paper is the title should match with the research objectives, so that whenever any of the researcher or the author or the researcher will read the title of the research paper, they will know that what actually the work is done in the research article. So the title should have a clarity that this particular thing is going to be you can read this particular objective in this particular research article or the research paper. So the title should have a very clarity, and it should be very interesting, and should follow the guidelines given by the research or given by the journal. I'm sorry. Then the next thing which we have to write after the title is writing the abstract. So this is very much important. So what actually the abstract is? Abstract is basically the summary of a research paper. So it just give an overview to the reader that this research article or the paper, generally what it contains. It is just the brief. It gives just just a written summary of a research paper, which give a brief understanding of the whole research paper. So what we have to do, it is what I will suggest you to do is always write the abstract of any research article or the research paper once the draft of the research paper is completed. So never write the abstract beforehand. Just do with the draft of the paper and then write your abstract, because it is generally it is giving an overview. So once the research work has been done, then only you can write the abstract. So it should be written after the draft of the paper is ready with you. Then if I say it can be it can be a structured or the unstructured, and it can be a very descriptive way also. So nowadays a structured abstract is being followed. If I talk about good journals, what they ask for is the to write abstract in a very structured way, right? Writing the purpose of the study first, writing the purpose, it means the objective. Then the objective, first is the objective or the purpose of the study. Then writing the research methodology, that would be in the separate line. Then writing the result or conclusion, and then writing the implications. So this way you can structure your abstract into 4 or 5 parts. First would be the object and the purpose of the study. Second would be the research methods or the research methodology used to achieve those objectives. Then writing the results, then writing the conclusion, and writing the significance. Significance means writing the implications, how this particular study is contributing to the existing knowledge. So this way the abstract can be divided into different sections. So this is the latest format which is being followed these days, and which is acceptable in the good journals. So always make your abstract not in a paragraph form. I will never suggest you. So always just divide it into different sections and make it in a structured format. Hope this is clear. Then what are the different rules for writing the abstract? If I'm saying, so always keep your abstract very short and very crisp, so that whenever just the reader will go through the abstract, he or she will just get an understanding on or an overview just at a glance at the abstract, that what the researcher has done in that particular article or in that particular research paper. And the word limit, which is mainly the word limit of 300 words, is being followed. But again, you have to follow the guidelines of the journal in which you are going to submit your research paper or the research articles. So you have to describe the methods also. So this is also one of the rule. As I told you, it has to be divided into different sections. And you have to mention the research design and the research methodology which is being used. Then you have to give the key results of your research work, and that has to be given in a very 2-3 lines. Just write the 2-3 lines that your research, this was your objective, this method and the research methodology has been used for achieving the objectives. Then these are the results, and just giving the theoretical part, theoretical 2-3 lines, and don't mention the results of your mathematical results or the figures which you have got in your analysis part. Don't write in the abstract. Then also you can just give the reader the interpretation, that how you have done your how the analysis of results have how the analysis of results are related to the objective. So you can just write at the end that this is the results, these are the results, and these are the interpretation of my the statistical results which I have found in my research work, and then writing the implications. So generally these rules are being followed. And in the abstract, you don't have to give any citation, you don't have to quote any of the study. This is just the you just have to write the objective or the goal of your study, your research methodology which you have followed, the results, and the significance or the implications. So you can divide, what I would suggest is you can just divide your abstract into 4 parts. Then writing the keywords. After the title, the topic has been chosen, the title has been written, the abstract has been written in a very structured way, or different sections. It has been divided into different sections. Now the most important part is the keyword. So carefully the research scholar has to choose the keywords, and generally it should not be more than 5 to 8. And again, it has to be as per the guidelines of the journal in which you are going to submit your paper. And the next is, do not use the duplicate words. Like example, you can see on the screen, reporter or reporting. So both of them are same almost, they're similar. So don't use. So, and do not use the common words which already appear in the abstract. So don't use that. Like online or something, don't use such words. Always use the terms which are commonly applied to your topic. So choose such keywords. So whenever anyone will put those keywords in Google or some search engine, immediately your paper will open. So choose your keywords very carefully while writing the abstract. Then, so this is the structure which we have to follow for writing the research paper or the research article. So as I told you, first is the abstract. So generally, some of the journals says that it should be 150 words. So depending on the guideline given by the journal, write the abstract accordingly on those particular word limits. Then abstract is just the outline, how you have the overview or the glance, what has been done in the research work. Then the abstract includes the keywords. Abstract generally includes the on the this is on the first page. You have on the first page of the research article or paper, you have to mention the title, you have to mention the abstract, and then you have to mention the keywords. Then start your research article from the next page, and then the main body of the research paper will start. And what it will have the introduction, it will have the literature review, it will have the research methodology, materials and methods, then the results, what's the findings and the results, then the discussion. After writing the findings and the results, you have to give a discussion part, reviewing the information in the introduction part and evaluating the result which you have got, and comparing it with the past study. This is the discussion part. Then the recommendations, with a few of the recommendations can be given by the scholars, that what is the potential solution, the new ideas which are based on the obtained results. Then recommendations involved, basically you can also write the future scope here. in the recommendation part. Then writing the limitations. Limitations are generally the weaknesses of the research. So the result will get a new direction, and try to write the limitations very less. Don't write a huge list of limitations as far as any research work is concerned. If you will write a very number of a lot of limitations for your study, it means your study is not relevant. You have not done your research work rigorously. So try to write minimum of the limitations in your research article or any of the research work. I'm not just here talking about the research paper or the research article. Maybe you can write, you can follow this structure, or you can follow all these rules while writing your MPhil dissertation or writing your PhD thesis. Then writing the conclusion. And after the conclusion is being done, you can go for the appendix or the acknowledgements, and then writing the references or the bibliography, and which I will discuss what actually the references is, what actually the bibliography is, what is the difference between the two, and how the citation should be done in the review of literature. So this basic structure should be followed, not only for the research paper, for any research work, this structure can be followed. Then we'll discuss about the important the body of the research work. So the first, after the title has been written, the abstract has been written, the keywords has been written. So next thing would be writing the introduction part. So in the introduction part, what you will write? What is known to that particular topic which you have already chosen? What is the understanding of the world? What is known and what is unknown? So what all things, suppose I told you, like suppose I've taken a topic, I'm writing a research paper or a research article on the emotional intelligence. So what all things I will be inculcating in the introduction part? I will be writing about what actually the emotional intelligence is, when this concept was started, what are the important theories which were given by different authors, what are the different other concepts which are related to the emotional intelligence. So what all things are already known, I will be writing in the introduction part. Then I will be writing what is unknown, what is not already given by different authors or the past authors or the researchers. The gap, what are the different gaps which we can fill from the known things which are given when the existing research, and what all things can be added. So it also, this introduction part can also include the rationale of the research work and the purpose of the research work, why this particular research work has been taken, and what is the rationale or the significance of this particular result, how this result will, how this particular research work will help in contributing more to the existing knowledge. So introduction part will include the known things, the unknown things, and the rationale of the study. Then the next thing would be review of literature. So review of literature, I have already told you, it is basically the summary of the already identified or the existing knowledge with the other past researchers they have already given. The reviewing those past literature or the past studies, collecting different research work from different sources, like from academic journal, from professional journals, reading different articles, reading different research papers, reading different books and other web-based resources, and then reviewing them. Actually, we have to mention in this particular section, literature review or review of literature, what has already been said related to this particular topic, who the key writers are, what are the prevailing theories and the hypothesis, and what are the different methodology has been used by the past researcher. So I can say the critical analysis has to be done in this particular section of the research article. So what the researcher has to do, he has to critically analyze the relevant available research work and the non-research literature on the topic which is being studied. So the topic which the research scholar have already chosen, critical analysis would be done on the topic or the research work which has been done by the past researcher. So as I told you, this review of literature or the literature review, this is the backbone of the study, because on the basis of the review of literature, your research objectives and your research hypothesis and the would be based. After doing this rigorous review of literature, the gaps would be found out. After finding the research gaps, the research objectives and the research hypothesis would be formulated. Then what we have to do, if I talk about the structure of the review of literature for an article, what we have to do, we have to choose a general topic. We have to choose out of the general topic which we have taken, we have to narrow down the categories of research. Then after narrowing down the narrowing down the research categories, what we have to do from the background of the topic which we have chosen, then what we have to do, we have to find out the supporting studies related to that particular topic which we have narrowed down, and then on the basis of those studies we have to find out the gaps. These research gaps are very important, as I told you earlier. Then constructing the review of literature. This is also the part of the main body of the research article or the research paper. So here, under the review of literature or the literature review, we have to discuss the main areas of the agreement and disagreement. We have already decided the topic, we have already decided the title, but we have already, now we have to do what we have to do. We have to decide the objectives of the research work. So what we will be doing, we will be discussing the more areas of agreement and disagreement by the past researchers on that particular topic. So in this particular part of the research article, we have to make a logical interpretation of the review of literature. So if such no discussion has been done of the relevance of the overview of other field in work in the field, so what we have to do, then we have to it will signal the author or the researcher that a thorough investigation is required on this particular topic. So entire review of literature has been done. Suppose I have chosen a topic, emotional intelligence. Now I have gone through 100 of the research articles. So what I will be doing, either I will be writing in the research review of literature in a tabular form. So what I will be doing, so this is also one of the style of writing the review of literature for a research article or a research paper. I will make a tabular form of review of literature. So I will be making different columns. So at first I will be writing the name of the author and the year of the author. Then in the second column, I will be writing the objectives, that what was the objective of that particular study which the author has done the research in. Then in the first column, I will be writing the title of the paper. In the second column, I will be writing the name of the author and the year of the study. Then in the third column, I can write the objective of the study. Then in the next column, I can write the methodology which is being used by the past researcher. Then after that, I will be discussing about the findings and the conclusion which the author has given. So this way I can make a tabular form, and I can also make the review of literature in a chronological form. Like I told you, the latest studies are more important. So chronological structure can also be used while writing the review of literature, or on the basis of the variables also, I can divide my structure of the review of literature. Suppose in my study, I have taken 10 variables. So variable wise, I can divide my review of literature, and then I can write my past studies. And let me tell you, when I'm writing the review of literature, so no need to write one big paragraph for every study. Some crisp interpretation should be given. So you people can do one thing, just follow the review of literature which of the research papers or the article which is published in the very good journal. Like you can follow the review of literature which is done in the Emerald papers, Springer papers, or the papers which are published in the Elsevier. What they do is they just write the 2 or 3 lines on that particular past study. They will just give the crux. They will just mention the name of the author and the year. They will write the year, and then they will write what was the purpose and what was the methodology which was used and what is the result. Just 2-3 lines. No need to write the entire summary of the research paper of the past study which you are reviewing. So just follow the review of literature of those such good journals, and then you will have an idea that how you can write an enriched review of literature, because this is the main backbone. So just write the review of literature in such a form that which is giving a clarity to everyone, even to you as a research scholar, and also to the readers who are just going through your research paper. Then the next step is writing the research methodology. The introduction part is over and the review of literature part is over. So next step is the writing the research methodology. So as I told you, research methodology is basically the research design. So in this particular part of the research article or the research paper, you have to write that what type of research is being conducted by the research scholar, whether it is a qualitative study or it is a quantitative study, then how the data has been collected, whether the primary sources have the data has been collected through primary sources. If primary sources, which instrument has been used, whether it has been collected through a questionnaire or has been collected through observation or through judgment or some other source, or if the secondary data has been collected, then how it has been collected, what are the different sources, then what is which sector has been targeted, so what is the territory which has been targeted, whether this particular study is related to only Indian context, or some international comparison has been made with the other countries. So what is the sampling technique which has been used for collecting the data? This is very much important as far as the research work is concerned. Then how you have analyzed the data, what are the different tools and techniques which the researcher has used for analyzing the data, and why those particular methods have been used. So rationale of choosing those methods. So this is important. So after the rigorous review of literature, as I told you, that is the bare backbone of the study, the next important thing is the research methodology and the research design. So what the research scholar can do? Research scholar can just divide the research methodology, this particular part of the research article, into different sections. Like he can say nature of the study, he can divide the research methodology section into different parts, like nature of the study, whether it is a qualitative study, quantitative study, or timeline data has been used. So you can write it, whether it is a qualitative or the nature of the research. Then the data collection, this can be the second section in the research methodology. Then the third can be sampling technique which has been used. Then the tools and techniques which are used for analyzing the data. So research methodology or the research design can be divided into 4 subsections. As I told you, the sections are divided into different subsections. First is the nature of the research, then the data collection, how the data has been collected, then the sampling technique, then the tools and techniques which is being used in the current research work. So divide the research methodology section into different subsections. This is the best way of writing a research article and the research paper. Then the next step is, so I will just skip the analysis part because it depends on the research scholar how the analysis part has to be shown. So there is no fixed structure which has to be followed. Depending on the different tests you people are doing, the research scholar is applying step by step in the analysis part. The scholar can show the test which was applied initially, then the next test which was used by the tools and techniques which was used by the research scholar can be shown. So in the analysis part, there is no such fixed structure which the research scholar has to follow. It completely depends on the tools and technique which the research scholar has used. So analysis has no fixed structure which the scholar has to follow. Then after the analysis has been done, the next part is the writing the conclusion or the findings. So when I'm saying this is very much important part as far as the conclusion and finding is concerned, very good journals, they focus on this particular part. How? So because the all those people who will be reviewing your paper, the reviewers of the journal, they know this now that you have collected the data, you have put your data in, you have already put your data in the software and you have got the results. So they will be focusing main on how you are interpreting your results. So this is the main part on which the reviewer will focus. Like if I talk about conclusion is basically the summary of your findings. So the purpose of the results section is to present and illustrate your findings. So this is important, how you are illustrating your findings, how you are representing your findings, how you are relating your findings with your research objectives, and also quoting the supporting studies. So this is important. So suppose I'm saying, if I'm saying this particular conclusion and the finding sections, here use all your interpretation for the discussion, how your findings and the conclusion are related to your research objectives and how these findings are helping you achieving the research objectives, and also quoting the supporting studies. If you are saying, suppose your objective, one of your objective was finding the relationship between two variables or factors A and B, and your findings are showing that there is a relationship between both the factors A and B, then what you have to do, you have to write that particular supporting study which also said that there is a positive relationship between the two variables. So it means alternate hypothesis, you have to quote that particular study in that particular findings section or the conclusion section. So what you have to do, you have to, you can show your, and one thing important, one thing I want to say here is this conclusion or finding part will not include the tables of your analysis, not at all. Those tables and the figures or the graph will be shown in the analysis part, not here. Here you just have to write the theoretical part or the, I can say the statistical results which you have found. Don't put the graph or the tables or the figures here again. Just put those graph, figures and tables in the analysis part. So this is just the summary of the findings. Conclusion is, and you have to show the supporting studies also. Then if I'm talking about the summary of finding, so I can say the findings are basically based on the result. The paper, so you have to use all such words. You can use these kinds of statements which you can see on the right hand side. And when I'm saying the summary of findings, so you can use such lines that from the research that has been carried out, it can be concluded that then the next you can use is based on the result, it can be concluded that. So you are giving the conclusion that on the basis of the result of the analysis which I have got with the research has got, I can conclude this. Never use the word I and we, no. Just use it can be concluded. So this research study clearly shows that. So it implies, the research results implies. Then the use of the finding. When I'm saying use of finding, it is basically the implications, the suggestions, the recommendation, and how the results of the particular study is contributing, is making contribution. That is the use of the study, that this particular finding have a great potential for other applications. The result would be applicable to, the technique would be applicable to, the findings suggest that this approach can also be used for. So use such lines for writing the findings and the conclusion. Then if I'm talking about the further research is basically the future scope of the study. It means you are done with your research work. You have found out the analysis result. You have found out the statistical results. You have given your findings. You have given your discussion part. You have given the conclusion. Now, you can also suggest that what is the future scope of this particular results, particular research work, how the new things can be further added for future research. Then the next part is the implications. Like I told you, the use of finding is the implications. So this is very much important because in every research work, research article, or the MPhil dissertation or the PhD thesis, this implication part is the more focused part. Here every senior or every reviewer will focus on the implication. So when I'm talking about the implication, it is the relevance of your study. What new knowledge you have added, you have to discuss that. Then you have to write, you have to discuss what is the new knowledge that your study is providing. What is the relevant of this particular knowledge and to whom it will be beneficial. And you can divide your implications in two parts. Like you can divide your implications part into two things. First is the theoretical implications and the second is the practical implications. So this is the best way to write the implication part. Always divide into two sections, theoretical and the practical. If I'm talking about theoretical implication, I can say that this particular research work or the study is contributing to the past studies, is making contribution in the existing knowledge. And if I'm saying the practical implications, suppose my study is related to marketing or HR, then I can write that this particular study or the findings will help the marketers in formulating the new marketing strategies. It may help the HR managers in formulating the new studies. Suppose I had my PhD thesis on this emotional intelligence. So I related the emotional intelligence with the workplace spirituality. So this was the main implication and the contribution of my study, that how the emotions and the spirituality is related, how it will impact the thought process of the employees working in the IT sector basically. So practical implications are the more focused one. So try to write in a very clear manner that how your study or the research work will contribute to the various stakeholders who are associated with your research work, how it will be beneficial to others, and how it will be contributing to the existing knowledge. And let me tell you, while writing the implications, you have to relate your implications with your research objectives. This is very much important, which every research scholar does not follow. They just write the basic implications, that it is contributing to the existing knowledge, it will help the so and so people. No, try to relate your implications with your research objectives. Then only you can write how it will be beneficial and will contribute others, and how it will add new knowledge to the existing literature. So try to relate both of them. Then we have the recommendations part. If I'm saying what is the difference between the implications and the recommendation? So implications are basically, you will discuss how the findings is helping, is important for policy, is important for practical theories, and is important for the research studies in future. And it also explains the usefulness of the findings of your study, how it will be useful and how it will be beneficial. You can write the implications after the conclusion, and or it can be the part of the conclusion also, depending on the research scholar or the guidelines. If the journal has given the guidelines that you have to divide your research paper or the research article into different sections, so you can write implications either in the conclusion itself, or you can make it a separate section. Then recommendations are basically the specific actions which can be taken with regard to that particular research work in future. And some specific actions can be suggested to resolve the problems which can be identified in future, as well as it will help in the future research studies. And recommendations are basically written after the implications of the studies have been written. So you have to follow the basic structure of the research paper. So after writing the implication, you have to write the suggestions or the recommendation given by the research scholar. Then the limitations part, as I already told you, limitations. If I'm saying the limitation, they are similar to the delimitations, and the limitations are basically the potential weaknesses of the research work or the research study which the research scholar has undertaken. So for example, and as I already told you previously, that try to write down very less limitations which are related to your study. Don't write a long list, because it will just make your research work irrelevant. So like you can, few of the examples I've given in this slide, like you can write the limitations related to the sampling problems, because we all know whenever some sampling techniques is being used, when the data is being collected, there can be problem in the sampling method. The sampling error method can, sampling error, there is a possibility of sampling error while deciding the sampling technique and while collecting the data. Then some uncontrolled factors or extraneous variables should be, there is a possibility that few of the variables and the factors which have been ignored by the research scholar. So you can write that few more variables can be added in this particular model or the theoretical framework which the scholar has given. Because I forgot to tell that whenever there is some research paper or the research article or some any kind of research work is being done, some theoretical framework is being given by the research scholar, which is consisting of the various variable which is being undertaken by the research scholar, and all those variables are related to the objectives only, the research objectives only. So in the limitation, research scholar can write that few of the variables could have been added. Like if I talk about the mediating or the moderating factors, suppose the research scholar has not taken the mediating or the moderating factors in the theoretical framework, so it can he or she can write in the limitation that few of the mediating and the moderating variables can be added in the future studies. So if I'm saying then there can be some problem in the research design. So there is a possibility that nobody is perfect. So there can be some faulty research design which have been followed by the research scholar. So then the reliability and the validity of the measuring instrument. So the research scholar can just state that the measuring instrument or the survey instrument which has been undertaken in this particular study, like the questionnaire, some reliability and the validity issues may be there. There may be a possibility of the reliability and the validity of the measuring instrument. Then if I'm talking about the limitations and scope are interrelated. So next thing is the talking of the future scope. So after the limitations have been written, so the last thing before the references is writing the future scope. Since future scope is related with the limitations of the study. You have already listed the limitations of the study, the potential weakness of your research work. Now you will write the future scope of the study. On the basis of the limitation, you will be writing the future scope, that few of the more theories which are like, for example, few of the other theories which are related to this particular topic can be coordinated or merged or accumulated with this particular research topic. Some relation could be found with this particular theory which is not being done in this particular research work. So some, for example, in this particular research work, the researcher has chosen only the IT sector. So in the future scope, so researcher can write that there is a possibility of targeting the other industry or the sectors related to this particular topic. So apart some comparison some other sectors can be compared with this particular IT sector if the researcher has taken the IT sector in this particular study. So a comparative study can be done in this particular area or particular topic. Or suppose the research scholar has only targeted the Delhi NCR or only the Maharashtra for the data collection. So he or she can write in the future scope that the more population can be targeted if that particular because one of the limitation for every research work is the time factor. So future scope can be written related to the limitations, that if the purpose of the study was to do research only related to that particular Indian level or that the national level. So in the future scope, that particular research scholar can write that a comparative study can be done in the related to the other countries. So this is a future scope which the the research scholar can write, and this is the last part of the research article and the research paper. So this is also very much important because every future study related to this particular topic which the scholar has taken depends on the scope of the research. So the scope is basically the will help the future scholars or the future researchers to do the future research on this particular topic on which the research has already been done. Then this is the last part of the research article and the research paper, that writing the references and the citations. Citations are basically the citation basically appear in the main body of the research paper in the review of literature, and it appears basically in the main text of the body of the research paper, where you use how we will write that so and so author, and in the bracket we write the year in which the particular study was given, and then we write the review of literature or the particular purpose of the study, the research methodology used, and the conclusion given. So citation basically appears in the research paper. And if I talk about the references, they generally appear at the last of the research articles and sometimes at the bottom of the page, where references give the full details of the source of the information. And a list is basically, if I talk about the reference list is basically, it gives the full details of different sources which are being used, and this particular list is added at the end of the research paper. And if I'm talking about the research references and the bibliography, so although both the terms are every research scholar or some of us used to think that both are similar, but actually there is a thin line difference between the reference as well as the bibliography. Bibliography is also given at the end of the article, at the end of the research work, and that bibliography gives the full detail of all the sources which have read, whether they are being cited in the particular research work or not. Suppose if the research scholar has gone through some newspaper or some book or some other article which he or she has not quoted in the main body of the research work, then also that particular source can be mentioned at the end of the research work. So that is the bibliography. References and bibliography is always arranged in the alphabetical order. And if I talk about the references are basically the bibliography is arranged in alphabetical order, and references is, suppose there are 5 parts of your research article and research, you have divided your research paper into 5 sections. So in the first section, if the 5 citation are given, you will be mentioning in your research list the first 5 citation which you have mentioned in the first part of your research work. That could be arranged in alphabetical order, could not be. That's up to the research scholar. So different referencing styles are being used these days. So first is the, you can see the list of several different styles of referencing on the screen, like APA style, that is American style, then the MLA, Harvard, and the Oxford or Chicago style. So generally, more of the Harvard and the APA style is being used, and every reference style has a different format, and you have to follow that particular format. Then how that first we have, whether we have to write the name of the author, whether we have to, how we have to write the year, how we have to write, whether we have to quote all the authors, whether we have to write the et al, where we have to put the inverted commas, where we have to put the comma, where we have to put the full stop. So all these things have to be kept in mind while writing or following the referencing style. Then this is the main difference between the bibliography and the references. So if I'm talking about the bibliography, bibliography is basically, it is a list which is the consulting material which is used by the research scholar. He has consulted or referred so many materials, which could be the research papers, articles, or books. And bibliography is not basically cited in the main body of the text, as I already told you, whereas references are only those such sources which you have cited or quoted in your main body of your research work. And bibliography are not referred all the times by the readers, but references are used for the future references. And bibliographies are not used for the agreement or the disagreement or argumentative statements or the support of these statements or disagreement or agreement. Bibliography are just the different sources which the research scholar has just consulted, or the material which he or she has consulted for doing this particular research work. So bibliography is different and the references is different. References has to be cited in the main text of the body or the main body of the article or the research work, but bibliography, whether you can cite or you can not cite depending on the research scholar. So this was the main process of writing. I can say the process of writing the research article or the research paper, and this is the main, these are the main sections or the research structure which the research scholar should follow for writing the research article. And let me tell you, whenever you will be, whenever suppose you might be people here who are attending the session today, must have written so many research paper previously also, and some of you must be very new to this research even word. So I can only suggest you always follow the guidelines which are given by the journal. So if you are writing a research paper and you want to submit to a particular journal which you have already decided, and so just open the website of the journal, first go through the guidelines which is being given. After drafting the research paper, just make the necessary modification as per the guidelines, and then only the chances of acceptance of the research paper would be there in that particular journal. So just make your research article in a very structured way. And one thing is important, use very good English, use very good I can say the grammar while writing the research work. This is important because sometimes using a very casual English or using a very casual any of the language is very I don't think there would be chances to for acceptance of the research paper in a very good journal. So try to use the technical words, try to follow the grammar which is being used by the different past researchers, and this you can learn only after reading the very good research work and the research papers. And some of the researchers, what they are doing is some people are using the past tense in your research papers and some are using the present tense. So depending on the journal guidelines, use the language accordingly. So thank you so much, and this all I had for today. Hope you people are having the clarity how to write the research article or the research paper. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. We are very proud to have such a eminent, multi-talented personality for today's FDP session. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, and really it was very informative, ma'am.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Dear ladies and gentlemen, do you have any queries you could ask, ma'am? Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
If you have
The majority, yes, ma'am. We got questions in chat box. The majority of the in that question, one question is, ma'am, can you list out your SCA journals? About the SCA list of journals, ma'am. One query.
let me tell you, nowadays everyone is following the UGC listed journals, and you can do one thing. You can just open the website of the UGC, and they have just categorized the different journals. And these days, not only I think the UGC journals, nowadays the people are preferring the SCI journals and they are preferring the Scopus Index journal. So try to find out from the UGC authentic list. Try to find out the authentic list first, and try to see whether that particular journal which you have chosen, whether it is listed in the present year, present month in which, because nowadays
Dear participants, kindly mute your device.
so nowadays some fake journals are there which are just creating their website and they are charging money. So be cautious before submitting your paper to any of the journal, and try to find the authentic link which is given on the UGC website, and try to find out whether in that particular month in which you are submitting your research paper, is that listed or not, because sometimes some of the journals, they don't disclose whether they have been indexed in that particular association which they are talking about, and on the basis of that, the research scholar, what they do is they just submit their article at that time, and later they got to know that it is not listed in that particular UGC or the Scopus. So try to find out very clarity, do a very rigorous research before submitting your paper. Any other query? Any other query if you're having?
Ma'am, I think there is no queries, ma'am.
Okay.
Shall we wind up the session, ma'am?
Okay, for sure, sure.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Participants, we have posted a feedback link in chat box. Okay, thank you so much, participants. And ma'am, we have the formal vote of thanks, ma'am, for a couple of minutes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I would now I would like to call upon Professor Suganya Shri to present a vote of thanks. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, all presented here. I deem it's a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this faculty development program of today's sessions on research article topics. And first, I express my gratitude towards our management and our beloved principal, ma'am, Dr. R. Premalata, for her constant support in all our activities. And I take immense pleasure in extending my sincere thanks to our resource person, Dr. Shelly Oberoi, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, NMIMS, Mumbai. Ma'am, it was a great, explained you interesting in a factual way in research, article writing, and it was enlightening session for all of us in this forum. Thank you, ma'am. And I extend my heartfelt thanks to our head of the departments and faculties and all the participants in various college of different dignitaries for your active participation. Once again, I thank everyone for your kind attention, which made the day a grand success. Thank you all. And thank you, ma'am. We are highly obliged. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to share my knowledge with everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Participants, thank you so much for attending the 5 days FDP session. We are heartily congrats for all the participants. Ma'am, sir, we will send a certificate as early as possible. Thank you so much.